Pan with Us by Robert Frost. Pan came out of the woods one day. His skin and his hair and his eyes were gray. The gray of the moss of walls were they, and stood in the sun and looked his fill at wooded valley and wooded hill. He stood in the zephyr, pipes in hand, on a height of naked pasture land. And all the country he did command. He saw no smoke, and he saw no roof. That was well, and he stamped a hoof. His heart knew peace, for none came here to this lean feeding save once a year, someone to salt the half-wild steer, or homespun children with clicking pails, who see so little they tell no tales. He tossed his pipes, too hard to teach a new world song, far out of reach, for a sylvan sign that the blue jays screech, and the whimper of hawks beside the sun were music enough for him, for one. Times were changed from what they were. Such pipes kept less of power to stir the fruited bough of the juniper, and the fragile bluets clustered there than the merest aimless breath of air. They were pipes of pagan mirth, and the world had found new terms of worth. He laid him down on the sunburned earth and ravelled a flower and looked away. Play? Play? What should he play? So that is out of this A Boy's Will collection. I had a urge to read some poetry late yesterday as I finished up a book and read some in my Harold Bloom anthology that I have somehow avoided since like April, and picked up this little volume. And it's not very long. As you can see, I've made good progress in it already. And, Robert Frost is okay. These are two of his earlier collections, and, it's not blowing me away, but it's not bad either. A lot of it is very nature-oriented, as you would expect from Robert Frost. And what particularly drew me to this one was towards the end. So Pan, creature out of Greek mythology, comes into the world, and he looks around, and where he's at, there's no, he saw no smoke, he saw no roof, and that was well. So he's excited. There's nature all around him, but no people there, and he knew peace in his heart. But no one came out to where he's at, except once a year to salt the half-wild steer. Otherwise, he might see the occasional child, but they don't talk about it. But it takes a twist here. He tossed his pipes, too hard to teach, a new world song, far out of reach. He's come into a new world, and it's not easy for him to teach this new world. And we find out that times were changed from what they were. Such pipes kept less of power to stir. And then they get to his pipes were of pagan mirth, and the world had found new terms of worth. So he left him by. He's a thing of the past. Someone that is just not really at the forefront anymore. And that's very true. Pan and all of those figures from earlier mythology, if they were true, and if they came back to this earth, would find that most people have no idea, no recollection really of who they are, what they've done, anything of value. They wouldn't have worshippers in any way, shape, or form. At least not in nearly the number they would have back in the day. And then the final line here: play. What should he play? He's a god of mirth. He's excitement, music, and in his solitude with nobody around. While he looks and sees the natural world is at peace where he's at, he comes to terms with things have changed. I don't know what to play. What should I play? And, so I thought that was just a enjoyable little poem. We'll see if we can make another Poetry Thursday video next week. No promises, but we'll try, because I've got an itch, and I've got just a handful of poetry volumes on my shelf that I probably ought to dive into. I realized as I was looking through them, I didn't put a single poetry volume on my 60 for 2023. So I've got openness to explore any of them, and we'll see where I go from Frost. Probably back into the Bloom anthology, and work my way through the rest of the Romantics, and beyond from there. So, thank you, BookTube.